All right, we're in the home stretch of this very long lecture. So there's this great term, occulture, occult culture. So the occult is blooming these days. The secrets are being told, and people are interested in the secrets. Just think about like the TV show Supernatural, which is so much about the occult and occult practitioners. There are more people, in fact, as I see at the events that I hang out at, there are more people showing up. There are more people looking to practice witchcraft or occultism or esotericism. And I would argue it's because our traditional main religions are not serving them. So they're looking elsewhere. So a culture is a cult culture. We're in a new age where magic is not punished. You can practice magic and not be burned at the stake these days. It's not necessarily encouraged. If you're free to do it, I mean, just think about the way that white ladies tell you to manifest your dream. That's all magic. Now, the satanic panic has lessened for now, except when you look at Q, and people seem to be open, maybe not to doing practices, but to learning about things. They are not willing to completely cast occultism aside. So, in a weird way, social media puts tarot, divination, what they call kitchen witchcraft, which is witches in the kitchen mixing up medicine, make the love potion happen. That's a big deal right now. That's surprising to me. I thought that people doing rituals would just fade away, but it hasn't. People have gotten more into it and can see it across social media. And the lore of witchcraft and occultism is not so hard to get. I was telling my Sanskrit students recently, I'm like, look, I get scans all these books. I can just give them to you. You don't have to spend the hundreds of dollars and travel all around the world to get the books. They're right there. The wisdom is easily accessible in a way that it has never been in the past. The lore is not limited by initiation, because even if you're not initiated, you can find the lore on the internet. And if you can't find the book, that's fine. If you can't find the physical book, you'll get the other book. So it's all there for everyone to look at. And it's just kind of fascinating. It becomes a bigger deal, not what you practice, but what you choose to practice. So eclecticism. Alex Marr studies all these sort of fantastic pagan individuals, these superstars. She, and I would argue, sort of dates them all. And she dates the most charismatic ones, like Josh or Morpheus. But the thing is, the people she talks to have huge respect for her. So what is her position? Well, she went to Harvard. She's a Harvard grad. She is a filmmaker. We watched her documentary. And she's awful pretty. She is awful pretty. So my question is, how much of the respect that she has with these superstar pagan individuals is about like her earnest inquiry into paganism and magic, and how much of it is too that she's a white, pretty New Yorker gal in her mid-30s? Because I mean, what is it? How can one be possibly better than a New Yorker gal in her 30s when she's white? So I've spent a lot of time with neo-pagans when I was in college, and I was sort of odd because I was doing a different practice than they were doing. They were all Wiccans. And I was also odd for not really finding Wicca all that intriguing, but that was fine. I did my thing. Other people did their things, and everybody just hung out. And the majority of people in this pagan group I would hang out with would say, I'm an eclectic neo-pagan. What does that mean? I do whatever I find interesting. And this is the biggest social group in neo-paganism. I mean, it might as well, like, you say you're an eclectic neo-pagan. It's just basically saying, like, I do all sorts of stuff, but I am not Christian. What's interesting to me is about all of these groups is they're so much not Christian. They're reacting against it. Even though I would argue when they have long conversations with the goddess Bridget, who knows them perfectly in their hearts, I'm like, you're still doing Christianity. You just put a lady where Jesus is. Now, a lot of these people come from backgrounds that are aggressive, fundamentalist, unhealthy Christians. So they had lost their faith. And then as they encountered a new faith as neo-pagans, they often lost their families. Quite dramatically, their families would denounce them. All these people had been hurt by aggressive Christians. Many have lost their families due to not being Christian anymore. And this esoteric world, this neo-pagan world, embraced them after they'd been so hurt by their families. That fascinates me. Now, here's a big point. The majority of people that are neo-pagans and are living as esotericists, OTO people, like ceremonial magicians, pagans, whatever, they're not like anyone that Mar interviews. The majority of pagans are eclectic neo-pagans that take whatever they find interesting and useful and incorporate that into their own practice. That means they're devoted to and accept any deity that appeals to them, that they're called by in a way. And the message is generally ecumenical, across lines, connecting, interfaith, many faiths connecting as one. And in the end, consensual. When you talk to a neo-pagan, they're trying to agree with you. When you talk to a fundamentalist Christian, they're trying to disagree with you, find that disagreement, and then convince you that you are wrong in the disagreement. Neo-pagans are different. They're just like, let's find a way to agree. I find it delightful. I mean, they're just normal, weird nerds. I mean, what would Alex Marr look like if she hung out with just a whole bunch of eclectic neo-pagans? They'd just be like, well, all right, I worship a goddess one day a month, and like Star Wars and TV show Airwolf. What do you think about that? Have you seen my terrible Levi jeans and my horrible shirt? And have you met my wife that wears a lot of crushed velvet? They're not that exciting. But what they are is loving, kind, sweet, the kind of people I want to be around. And I don't see that from the people she interviews. I don't see them as being loving, kind, or sweet. And that bothers me because I feel like, as I've said before, I feel like she just misses the whole point of community. Now, I mean, the reality of it is when you hang out with neo-pagans, it's strong drinks. Everybody drinks a lot. God bless them. Interesting and open conversations. And then after about 2 hours of hanging out and eating food, you're going to sit down and watch movies. Probably Dune. Maybe The Lord of the Rings. If you're lucky, Legend. With Tim Curry as the devil that Alex Marr talked about as her first big crush. All right, take a little break.